Hey guys, welcome to Midweek Live on a Tuesday. Club's going up on a Tuesday. Just because we're having in-person small groups on Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. But I'm going to talk more about that after this message. Again, it's been a hot second since we've gotten a message to y'all, but let's start this new series off right. This new series is called Family Matters. It's not like that old TV show, Full House, or other than that with Steve Urkel, but this is a new series that we're doing, and we talk about family and how it matters. Duh, that's what the series name is. Now, what do you think of when I say the word family? Now, I think about when I was growing up, being the oldest of 3 siblings, and I was the oldest by a lot, by about 9 and 12 years. I was the only child for a hot second, and then my little sister and my little brother came into the world. And honestly, I really felt like I had to be the best role model for them as possible. There wasn't really that much room to mess up for me, but the thing was, I kind of liked that pressure. I liked the pressure of feeling like their whole lives and everything depended on the decisions I made. I don't know why. It might be kind of weird. I might be the only one thinking that. But even to this day, even being here in Dallas and they're in Houston, I'm still a role model for them. But then even whenever I was living at home, I kind of felt like the third parent sometimes. Of course, I was the first one to drive, so I was kind of their little chauffeur, driving them to school, soccer practice, baseball practice, whatever practice, even helping out coaching a lot of the times as well, and being there for them a lot. It's not like my mom and my dad weren't present at all. They just knew that they had an extra chauffeur that can just chauffeur everyone around. And maybe for you, family looks like the same thing, but then maybe for some of you, family brings other good things in mind, or maybe it's the exact opposite. Maybe you think about frustrations, annoyances, or even chaos. Maybe because your house is literally never quiet and there's always people arguing, always people yelling, or maybe you have a curfew and you're 18 years old and you feel like that's unfair. I didn't sign up to be at a boot camp. I'm an adult. I shouldn't have a curfew. On the spectrum of awesome and awful, family is rarely right in the middle. It's awesome 1 minute and literally the next minute it can just go straight downhill. For some of you, family might mean mom and dad, or mom or dad. Might mean mom and stepdad, dad, stepmom, aunt, uncle, grandparents, adoptive parents, half siblings, second cousins. Whatever it might seem like, that's what your family might look like. Every family looks different. Every family is unique. No family in this world looks the same nor acts the same. But the one thing that every family has in common is that it's complicated. Whether a bunch of different personalities are under the same roof, things are going to get tough and tough fast. Everyone has their own opinions, preferences, needs, and the way that they communicate. One way a lot of families communicate is by literally not communicating. That's the truth of my family. Whenever some tough stuff comes up, we just kind of ignore it and we just kind of move on with our lives and with our days, and we don't really face the fact that there's an issue on the table and we don't take it on. But then what do we do whenever this, disaster strikes? Because it's bound to happen. I like to think that there's always these roles that we kind of play in our families. Like, some of us might be the mediators and they're just trying to keep the peace between everyone and keep everyone happy. Or maybe the avoider, you're just, kind of keeping your head down and keeping your mouth shut and kind of going throughout life. Some of you might be like me and an instigator, and you just kind of got to put in your opinion whenever you can and get your mix on it because you feel like you're the one that's right. And then there's people like Diana's that are just rule followers and they just stay out of the trouble. And there's just the smart ones that are really just the brains of the family. They kind of put everything together. And then you might be like me also, and you might be the comedian of the family and not take anything seriously and make a joke of situations, good or bad. And that was a long list, but it goes on. But think about what your role is in the family. It might be shaped by what you feel or what is forced upon you by your family itself. There's no telling why there's a role at all, but it just works. It just happens. I know that maybe not all of you would say that you have an active faith in Jesus and you kind of just hang around with the youth group, with the students, just because your friends are in it. And you know, that's okay. I'm so glad that you're here. You're so welcome here at Spring Creek. But then there's some of you that might have an active faith in Jesus and might feel like faith and your family don't really mix well. It might be because you're the only Christian in your household, or your parents might say that they're Christians, but they don't really act like Christians, and they don't really talk about it like we are right now. You know, one of the biggest factors is that you and your family go to church together. They come here together whenever we were still meeting here, or you watch it, you know, on Sunday mornings. But then when you get home, that's it. You know, it was like going to church was a chore. You don't really talk about what Pastor Keith talked about or what you learned about in small groups. Nothing more. It's just, you know, church is church, and then family's family. You kind of keep it separated. You don't feel like it mixes well at all. All right, so now let's look into John 13, the night that Jesus was actually arrested and the night before he was killed, murdered, beat, everything. We find Jesus having the Last Supper, his final meal with his closest friends, his disciples. No one but Jesus knew about what was coming, you know, and the next day, or that would be his last meal with them before everything literally changed. And it's reading to John 13:1. Now before the feast of the Passover, when Jesus knew that his hour had come to depart out of this world to the Father, having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end. What that basically means is Jesus loved his disciples just like you love your family. Not everything was right, not everything goes right, but Jesus still loved them. Now listen to what he does here in verses 3-5. Jesus, knowing that the Father had given all things into his hands and that he had come from God and that he was going back to God, rose from supper. He laid aside his outer garments and taking a towel, tied it around his waist. Then he poured water into the basin and began to wash the disciples' feet and wipe them with the towel that was wrapped around him. It sounds really awkward now. It sounds weird. You have no idea how awkward it was for the disciples. Even though foot washing was a common thing for them then, imagine how nasty their feet were. Today I took a walk at Duck Creek and I got blisters on my feet. And there's mud all on my chacos and my toes, and it's really gross. I could go for a nice foot wash, but you know, I don't have any servants around to do it. So their feet were probably as nasty or even more nastier. And that was kind of something a servant would do. Jesus was a teacher, an authority. He gave people, and people in his position didn't wash people's feet at all. They got their feet washed. That's literally what servants did. So the disciples didn't know how to react when their teacher was washing their feet. It was a crazy act of kindness and service to them. He then went on to explain to them that one of them would actually betray him. And then he told Peter, literally in front of everyone, that Peter would deny his friendship with Jesus. It was a complicated moment. A lot of compelling emotions, and a lot of things were happening. And let's read more into John 13. We're going to skip ahead to verses 34-35. A new commandment I give to you, that you love one another. Just as I have loved you, you also are to love one another. By this, all people will know that you are my disciple, if you have love for one another. Now, Jesus didn't just clean their feet to just show them servitude, but to love and serve them. In the same stroke, he's saying how that's how they should treat people, even in complicated situations. And by doing this to everyone, they would know that the disciples were followers of Jesus. Well, in other words, how will people know that you're a follower of Jesus or that I'm a follower of Jesus? What will show the people closest to you that you follow God? What will people around see that tells them about your faith? Love. That's exactly how. Love is how you show people about your faith. Now, this seems like something Jesus would say, but when you think about the fact that he said it right after washing their feet, makes it so extraordinary. They had no idea of how loving this act was. Jesus knew that a close friend would betray him and that Peter would deny him, but he still did it anyways. Jesus still focused on love, and he gave us an incredible example of what we're supposed to do to the people we are closest to. We are to love our friends, teachers, strangers, family, and everyone else around us. And by doing that, they will know the faith by the way that we love. Even in the middle of our kindness, and we feel like we're misunderstood or unappreciated, we show love. In the middle of betrayal, denial, unfairness, sorrow, whatever it is, we show love. Now pay attention to this. Demonstrating love in difficulty changes you. It makes you more like Christ. And that should be the goal for all of us. God wants to use our family, the good and the bad, as something that grows our ability to love one another. Why? Because love matters the most. We also need to love because, like he showed the disciples, he loved us first. A love that we do not deserve, but he gave it to us anyways. Paul says it best in 1 Corinthians 13, 4-7. Love is patient and it is kind. Love does not envy or boast. It is not arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice at wrongdoing, but rejoices with the truth. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, and endures all things. Love never ends. Let your faith in Jesus move you to love the people that you live with. Love with patience, love with kindness, and love in a way that honors the people around you. A love that honors Jesus. Love in a way that's slow to anger. If you want faith and peace to be in your family, then show as much love as you can. Because when it comes to faith and family, love matters the most. But they might be asking, Alan, how the heck do I start doing this? This is kind of some hippie stuff. I don't really understand why you're hammering down the notion of love so much. I'm going to tell you how. And, it's a hard question because there's so many places to start. In your family, whenever everything seems unfair to you, you got to be patient. When you're right about something, don't be arrogant about it. When you're met with anger, meet them back with kindness. Now, I'm not telling you to be a pushover at all, but these things demonstrate you being a follower of Christ. And this is how you keep the peace in your family and keep the faith in your family. I realize this sounds nice to hear, and I know that it's not going to be easy, especially within a family, and I don't know how your family is. It's hard within mine, but there's no way that I can address every single complicated, unique family situation in just one 15-minute video on Instagram Live. That is why we do have small groups. And that is a place where you can talk about it and process it all. It might feel impossible, but imagine if your family could be actually better than they are now. Imagine if your faith could actually grow and grow within your family. I believe that's possible. I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen in my family. I've seen it happen with other people's families. And it happens because of Jesus. And the way that Jesus has showed us love is the same exact way we need to show love right back. When it seems unfair, when it seems just not right, we gotta show the love. Because when it comes to family, your faith matters. When it comes to your faith, your family matters. And when you combine faith and family together, love matters the most. We're meeting tomorrow, Wednesday night at 7 p.m. in the parking lot. Now we're only be meeting for 1 hour, so I don't want y'all saying, "Oh, my parents are picking me up at 8:30." No, they're picking you up at 8. Don't get here earlier than 7. Get here right at 7. Leave right at 8. And unfortunately, we're not going to be providing any snacks this week because we all got to wear our masks. If you don't have a mask at home, we have some here for you to have as well. Today, Texas just hit 5,000 cases of corona, and we're trying to keep each other safe. We're trying to keep everything well. So I hope you can see you here tomorrow night. Thank you. Bye.